Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we like to dig into your sources to discover all the fascinating details that might have been missed on the first read.
Yeah.
Today we're going to take a deep dive into the legacy of Garth Hudson, the band's incredible multi-instrumentalist who recently passed away at the age of 87.
Yeah.
You've given us some news articles, and we're going to try to find all the fascinating details in them.
Yeah, it's striking how these articles immediately, from the start, emphasize his significance by calling him the last surviving member of the band.
Yeah.
It really hits you with the weight of his legacy.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Right from the get-go.
For those who might not be familiar, let's set the stage a little bit.
Yeah.
Who were the band, and why are they considered such a pivotal part of music history?
The band emerged in the 1960s, and their sound was just this incredible melting pot of genres.
Yeah.
Rock, R&B, country folk,
Wow.
even gospel. They managed to create something that was both unique and deeply rooted in American musical traditions.
And their journey is fascinating.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I mean, they started out by backing Ronnie Hawkins as the Hawks,
right,
and then became Bob Dylan's band.
Exactly.
During this really crucial period in his career.
Exactly. That period, often called Dylan's electric period, was when he transitioned from acoustic folk to a more rock-infused sound.
Yeah, it was controversial.
Yeah, it was controversial at the time, but incredibly influential.
Yeah.
And the band was right there with him, shaping that sound.
Right.
And honing their own skills along the way.
It's almost like it was a training ground.
Yeah.
Or like a testing ground.
Absolutely, yeah. A crucible, yeah.
And that experience clearly forged a deep musical connection between them.
Yeah.
Because what came next was the band releasing their own music.
Right.
That really blended all these influences together.
Exactly.
And that's where Garth Hudson's talent truly shines.
Yeah.
The articles all highlight his incredible range of instruments.
Absolutely.
Piano, organ, saxophone, accordion.
It's unbelievable.
Even the violin.
Yeah.
He played the violin.
And it's important to emphasize this wasn't just dabbling.
Right.
He was a virtuoso on each of these instruments.
That's unbelievable.
Really rare. And this breadth is what gave the band their unique sonic texture.
Right. It's like having an entire orchestra condensed into one person.
It is, yeah.
You know what else is interesting?
What's that?
The articles all point out that he was the only member of the band who didn't sing.
That's a great observation. I mean, it speaks to the power of instrumental music and how a musician can be so essential to a band's sound.
Yeah.
Even without being a vocalist.
Right, yeah.
His contributions weren't about filling space. They were about adding layers, creating atmosphere, weaving these intricate musical tapestries.
It makes you realize how much we overlook the contribution of instrumentalists.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, like, think about a movie score.
Right.
It can completely change the emotional impact
of
a scene without a single word being spoken.
And with the band, Garth's playing wasn't background music.
Right.
It was front and center, shaping their signature sound.
Now, the articles also touch on the legendary Basement Tapes recordings.
Oh, yeah.
That the band made with Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little bit of context for that?
Sure. Picture this. It's 1967.
Okay.
Bob Dylan is recovering from a motorcycle accident, and he's laying low in a pink house near Woodstock, New York. The band is living nearby, and they start jamming with Dylan in the basement of this house.
It sounds almost like a musical fairy tale.
It does, doesn't it? And the cool thing is that Garth was the one who set up and ran the tape recorder.
Oh, wow.
Capturing these raw, intimate jam sessions.
So he wasn't just contributing musically.
Right.
He was also the one documenting this moment.
Yeah.
This incredible moment in music history.
Talk about being in the right place at the right time.
Right. Talk about being in the right place at the right time.
And these recordings, though never officially released at the time, were hugely influential.
Right. I mean, they ended up circulating as bootlegs.
Right.
And they became incredibly influential, especially in shaping what we now know as the roots and Americana genres.
Exactly.
Which often draw on traditional folk, country, and blues influences.
Right.
And that's what you hear in these recordings.
Get it.
It's just amazing to think about how these informal jam sessions,
Yeah.
tucked away in a basement, could have such a ripple effect
A ripple effect, yeah.
on music.
It's a testament to the power of authenticity and experimentation.
Yeah.
And it speaks to Garth's foresight in capturing those moments, because who knows what would have happened if those tapes hadn't been made.
Right. If you're enjoying this deep dive,
Yeah.
don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss our future exploration.
Absolutely.
But getting back to Garth,
Yes.
there's something about how he's described in these articles
Yeah.
that really intrigues me.
Uh-huh.
They paint him as this rustic figure
Yeah.
with a sprawling beard, almost like a character out of a novel.
Yes, and I think that image is really fascinating when
Yeah.
you contrast it with his musical sophistication.
Yes.
This wasn't just some folk musician playing by ear.
Right.
Garth was classically trained,
Aye.
a master of improvisation,
Yeah.
and the arranger for many of the band's albums.
Yeah.
He brought a depth of knowledge and artistry that really elevated their music.
It reminds me of those old photos of him where he looks like he stepped right out of a historical reenactment.
Right?
And then you hear his music.
Yeah.
This blend of traditional and experimental sounds, and it's just mind-blowing.
Exactly. And I think one quote from these articles sums it up perfectly. Robbie Robertson, the band's guitarist, called Garth the most advanced musician in rock and roll.
That's high praise.
Coming from a musician like Robertson, that's incredibly high praise.
Yeah, it really is. It speaks to the level of respect that Garth had
Absolutely.
within the music community.
Yeah.
He was clearly a musician's musician.
Absolutely. He may not have been the front man, but his contributions were indispensable.
Now, when you think about Garth's musical moments,
Yeah.
is there a particular song
Oh.
that stands out for you as showcasing his talent?
Yeah.
For me, it's Chest Fever.
Oh, absolutely.
But,
It's often cited as Garth's showcase piece.
yeah.
And for good reason.
Yeah.
The articles describe it so vividly, that epic organ intro, the genetic method, which seamlessly moves from Bach to hard rock.
That's brilliant.
You can almost hear it
Yeah.
just reading the words.
Yeah.
Right?
And it perfectly captures his ability to blend seemingly disparate styles to improvise and create something totally unique and captivating.
The genetic method is a great example of how Garth could take these classical influences and inject them into a rock context.
Right.
It's not just about technical skill. It's about a deep understanding of music and the ability to transcend genre boundaries.
Speaking of transcending boundaries,
Mhm.
the articles also mention some of Garth's collaborations after the band disbanded in 1976.
Hmm.
The Call, Leonard Cohen, Tom Petty.
Wow. Yeah.
It's a pretty diverse range.
It is. It highlights something really important about the music industry.
Okay.
Session musicians,
Yeah.
like Garth, are often the unsung heroes.
Yeah.
They contribute to countless recordings, bringing their expertise to a wide range of projects. Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
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 So,
Yeah.
yeah. And Garth's talent wasn't limited by genre or style. He
Right.
could adapt and contribute meaningfully to anything that he was involved with.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Think of him like a musical chameleon, able to blend in and enhance any musical environment he found himself in. Yeah, I mean, that's a perfect analogy. It makes you think about how we often box ourselves in
Yeah.
creatively. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But Garth's career shows that you can be versatile
Yes.
while still maintaining your own unique artistic voice.
Exactly. He was never afraid to experiment and push the boundaries, whether he
Right.
was working with, a rock legend like Bob Dylan
Yeah.
or a singer-songwriter like Leonard Cohen.
It's inspiring,
Yeah.
especially for anyone who feels pressure to stick to one specific style or genre.
Right.
You know, Garth's example shows that you can be a multifaceted artist and collaborate across genres without losing your own identity.
And that's a really important point
Yeah.
because I think it speaks to the power of collaboration itself.
Yeah.
You can bring your own unique strengths to a project
Yeah.
while also learning and growing from others.
That's something we often forget,
Yeah, absolutely.
in our individualistic culture.
Yeah.
This myth that creativity has to be solitary. But so much amazing work comes from people bouncing ideas off of each other, learning from different perspectives, and pushing each other to do their best work.
Absolutely. And the band was a perfect example of that. They were a true collective, with each member contributing their own unique talents to create something greater than the sum of its parts.
And Garth's role within that collective was so crucial. Even if it wasn't always in the spotlight, He was the foundation, the anchor that allowed the others to shine.
I love that metaphor, yeah. It's like he was the root system of a tree supporting everything that grew above ground.
So we've explored Garth's incredible musical journey, his impact on the band, his broader influence on music through collaborations and those legendary basement tapes. But what does it all mean for us today?
Right.
What can we learn from his legacy?
That's the big question, right?
Yeah.
And I think there are a few key takeaways here.
Yeah.
First, I think Garth's story reminds us that technical skill is important, but it's not everything. He was obviously incredibly gifted, but he also had this deep understanding of music, this ability to listen, to adapt, to create something truly unique.
It's like he was speaking a universal language
Yeah.
through his instruments, one that transcended genre or style.
Right.
You know, he was able to connect with audiences on a purely emotional level, which is the real magic of music, wouldn't you say?
I completely agree. And I think that's something that we can all strive for in our own creative pursuits, you know?
Right.
Whether it's music, writing, art, or anything else, it's about finding that authentic voice, that unique way of expressing ourselves that resonates with others.
And I think another important takeaway is that collaboration can be incredibly powerful.
Totally.
You know, Garth wasn't afraid to share the stage, to support others, to work behind the scenes.
Right.
And in doing so, he helped to create some of the most iconic music of the 20th century.
It's a powerful reminder that we don't always have to be the star of the show. Sometimes the greatest fulfillment comes from being part of something bigger than ourselves, from contributing our skills and talents to a collective vision.
If you're finding this deep dive as insightful as I am, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel.
Please.
We'd love to have you join our community of curious minds.
Yeah.
Now, as we wrap up this exploration of Garth Hudson's legacy, I want to leave you with a thought-provoking question.
Okay.
Garth's career was all about finding that sweet spot between individual expression and collaboration. How do you think he managed to balance those two seemingly opposing forces so effectively?
That's a fantastic question, and I think the answer might lie in his humility.
Yeah.
He wasn't driven by ego or the need for recognition. He seemed genuinely intent to be part of something bigger than himself, to contribute his talents without needing to be in the spotlight.
It's almost like he understood that true creativity thrives in a collaborative environment, that the best ideas often emerge from shared experiences and a willingness to build upon each other's strengths.
Exactly. It's like a musical conversation where each participant contributes their own unique voice to create a harmonious whole.
Yeah, and that's where Garth's mastery of improvisation comes in, right?
Yeah.
He could listen to what others were playing and respond in a way that elevated the entire performance.
Absolutely.
It wasn't about showing off. It was about creating something beautiful and cohesive together.
It's that almost telepathic connection that you see in the best musical collaborations.
Yeah.
It's like they're anticipating each other's moves, feeding off each other's energy, and creating something that's greater than the sum of their individual parts.
Yeah, it's almost like a flock of birds,
Yeah.
moving in perfect synchronicity.
Right.
Without a designated leader.
Right.
Each bird is responding to the movements of those around it.
Right.
And the result is this beautiful, fluid dance.
Yeah. I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It perfectly captures the sense of effortless flow that you hear in the band's music.
Yeah.
And Garth was a master of that flow, able to seamlessly blend his playing with the others, creating this tapestry of sound that was both intricate and organic.
It makes you wonder if that kind of collaborative spirit is something that can be learned, or if it's just like an innate talent that some people possess.
That's a fascinating question.
Yeah.
I think it's probably a combination of both. Some people are naturally more inclined to collaboration, but I also think it's a skill that can be developed through practice and a willingness to listen to others.
Maybe it's about letting go of ego,
Right.
of the need to be in control,
Yeah.
It's about trusting your collaborators, being open to their ideas, and allowing the music to take on a life of its own.
I think you're right. And I think Garth Hudson embodied that spirit of collaboration in everything he did. He was a true team player, always willing to put the needs of the music ahead of his own ego.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the life and legacy of Garth Hudson, what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from this exploration?
I think it's the idea that true artistry isn't about seeking the spotlight.
Right.
It's about finding your unique voice and using it to contribute to something larger than yourself. Garth Hudson may not have been a household name, but his impact on music is immeasurable. He was a master of his craft, a humble collaborator, and a true innovator. His legacy is a testament to the enduring power of music and the importance of finding your place within the creative tapestry of life.
Beautifully put. And for our listener, if you've enjoyed this deep dive into the world of Garth Hudson and the band, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more explorations into the fascinating lives and legacies of those who have shaped our world.
And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.